So who is your NBA Mount Rushmore? This is the Royal City Hoops podcast. I am Bill or Billy, or my personal favorite is the B Train. And I'm finally sitting down to start a basketball podcast that probably has been something I've wanted to do for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And now with all this stuff going on, I have time to do it. So I thought it would be good to start with something fun, like what is your Mount Rushmore of NBA players? A lot of what I'm going to do and a lot of the conversations or topics I'm going to cover are kind of based on a whole bunch of WhatsApp conversations that I had with my friend Mac and a lot of my hoops friends. And I've kind of abandoned Mac now that I've had a second kid. Sorry, Mac. So we're going to get into something fun, which is what is your NBA Mount Rushmore? If you don't know what Mount Rushmore is, it's an American, what is it? It's an American landmark with 4 presidents on it. So you got to pick your 4 guys. Now, it's up to you whether these are your 4 best guys, your 4 favorite guys. Up to you how you want to describe it. What mine is, I'll go first, since you guys can't hear. The one rule that we go by is you have to have seen them play. And that's not YouTube highlights or Instagram feeds. You have to have been sitting on your couch watching them play. So Wilt Chamberlain, unless you saw him play, can't be on your list. That's just too far. So I'm going to go first. And number 1 on my list is going to be LeBron James. To me, he's the GOAT. Now, we can get into the rings debate and MJ 6-0, whatever. To me, LeBron's just better at basketball than anybody I've ever seen. And that's from somebody who grew up in the Michael Jordan era. That's not to say Michael Jordan isn't amazing and the greatest. It's just my opinion. There isn't really anything LeBron James can't do. People, unfortunately, will spend their time hating on him or poking holes at him, and I think there's a lot of people that are going to regret that because they'll have spent their time hating on somebody instead of just appreciating something that's just we'll never see again. Number 2 on my list is Michael Jordan. I mean, it speaks for itself. Let's talk about 6 rings. Let's talk about just how amazing he was. He changed the whole culture of basketball. How many people play basketball because they saw Michael Jordan? That's not the only reason they love the game, but he became culture. He became, Mars Blackman and all the Nike commercials. I mean, who doesn't own something that's Nike? Jordan brand, all of that. I don't even think you have to go further into why Michael Jordan's on the list. Now, my next one, people may have some questions about, but I'm going with Larry Bird as my 3rd Mount Rushmore guy. He's, if you're not old enough to know who Larry Bird was, I feel sad for you. He's a machine. The guy, trash talking machine, game-winning buckets, his ability to shoot the ball. I would put him, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, anybody you're going to put on that list, Ray Allen, Larry Bird has to be there. If Larry Bird was playing today, he would be the most unbelievable stretch 4 ever. His stats rival LeBron's. I mean, when LeBron started having these monster stat years, they were Larry Bird stats that he was putting up. Assists, rebound, all of that. That's what Bird did, except Bird was an 80-some% free throw shooter. 80, 90, I don't know. I have to look that up. 3-point machine. And the thing was, back then, he was shooting 1, 2, 3 threes a game. If he was playing today, he'd probably hold all the records for makes in a game just because he had such a big pair in his shorts and the unbelievable confidence to do it. Just YouTube some of his highlights. It'll be on my blog. I'm starting a blog. It'll be on there with some clips of Larry Bird for this topic. Just so much fun. And for me, if you got a guy down the stretch and one player in NBA history I want to shoot a shot to win a game, I'm picking Larry Bird. I'm not picking Kobe. I'm not picking MJ. Larry Joe Bird is my guy. Hands down. Now, number 4 to round out the list is number 4 is always tough, right? You can have an alternate if you're going to pick a fifth, an alternate, but then you're doing, I may as well do my own starting 5. So not the same. The Mount Rushmore one is just one that a bunch of friends sit down and having beers or, just texting each other going, who's your Mount Rushmore? That's what we were doing. So number 4 for me is Tim Duncan. Just the longevity, watching him play. All these guys had one thing in common is they made their teams better and they made other players around them better. They just improved the culture of their team. Not saying there aren't other guys who did that, but Tim Duncan, 30 and 20 on a regular basis, just popping up on the box, score 4 blocks, 5 rings, over, almost 20 years. The guy, it's just unreal how consistent and how he played winning basketball and how he took a franchise that was nobody and really for a decade or longer was the preeminent franchise in the NBA. There's a few honorable mentions I'm going to get into. Magic Johnson's going to be one. He fits with the winning theme. He changed the game way back when. He was essentially LeBron without the scoring. The passes, all that stuff. He did it all. Maybe he wasn't the athletic freak LeBron was, but 6'9". He probably couldn't dial it up defensively like LeBron can. And I say dial it up because LeBron doesn't do that every night. MJ did it every night. So Magic, he was in my top 4, up until, a couple of years ago. And then I really had to make a decision between Magic and Larry Bird about who was going to be not on my list anymore. Next on my list is going to be, of honorable mentions, I should say, is Kobe Bryant. Kind of already have him on the list. I kind of have a little bit better version of him than Michael Jordan. And depending on who you talk to, recency bias, I think, plays into some people, some guys on Instagram talking about how Kobe's the best ever. I'm like, I don't know. Michael Jordan was a better version of Kobe. There's just, if you watched him play in that era, it was crazy how good he was. And all of these guys could play in any era. That's another thing you want to think about with the list. It's not just winning, that their games are timeless. I don't care about athleticism, any of that. These guys would be all-time greats today, no matter what. And my last honorable mention is a bit of a future pick. I'm going to put Luka Doncic on the list because I think he's a generational player. He's the next big deal. He blows me away. He's 20 years old. He came in the league at 19, and I think the first game I saw him on TV, I just thought, I could feel how good he was bleeding through the television. And night in, night out, you see it. You see the highlights. You see all these things come out where it's just going to be scary. I mean, at 18 years old, he was MVP of the EuroLeague against grown men. He's a future pick, and I'm wondering who's going to fall off my list when he hits all-time great status on my Mount Rushmore. So, what's your list? You don't have to post anything. I'm not trying to get engagement out of this. It's just something fun for you to talk about with your friends or yourself or sit around because, we all got a lot of time on our hands right now and potentially for a long time. So, like if you like, comment if you got something to say, and subscribe at your own risk.